You've probably heard that you will need millions and millions of dollars to retire comfortably, or that Social Security won't be around when you finally need it. Today, I'm going to try and cut through the noise and talk about the 3 biggest lies that you've been told about retirement planning. Lie number 1 that you get told is that you need millions and millions of dollars to retire comfortably. Visit any financial forum and you'll hear that you must have at least $5 million or more to avoid eating cat food in old age. This myth implies that anything less means a retirement of misery. I actually asked this question not too long ago and the responses were, holy smokes, scary to say the least. $5 million, $10 million, someone even said $1 billion. I mean, these are great targets, but let me give you a reality check. Most Americans retire with far less and still report a comfortable retirement. Let's look at what actual retirees spend and save versus these responses. According to the US Bureau of Labor, retiree households led by someone 65 or older spent about $60,000 in 2023. That's the average, and many spend far less than that. Common financial planning guidelines suggest aiming to replace 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income and not 100%. Let me give you another reality check. Only around 10% of retirees have $1 million or more saved for retirement. The median retirement savings for Americans near retirement age, which is between 65 and 74, is only about $164,000. And for those 75 plus, it's around $83,000. Yes, you heard that right. Many retirees are living on just a few $100,000 or less in savings, plus Social Security, of course. So yeah, the numbers are far below the millions that you see on social media. So how can someone with, let's say, $200,000 in savings possibly retire comfortably? The key here is Social Security. In 2024, the average Social Security retirement benefit was roughly $1,800 to $2,000 per month. That's about $25,000 per year. So for a married couple, combined benefits could double that. When a retiree couple's Social Security withdrawals plus their savings or a pension if they have one, or perhaps a part-time job or rental income, the total can often meet their needs, especially if you have a paid-off primary residence. That part is critical. So where did the "you need millions of dollars to retire comfortably" really come from? It's not a total fabrication either, but it's frequently misunderstood. Financial firms like Fidelity or Vanguard sometimes use rules of thumbs like saving 10 to 12 extra final salary, or the 4% withdrawal rule, which says that you can sustainably withdraw 4% of your savings annually. These can indeed produce numbers in the millions, especially for high earners. For example, a couple earning $150,000 might target maybe $100,000 per year in retirement income because of the 70 to 80% replacement rule. To generate $100,000 per year for 30 years, traditional advice would say you would need at least $2 to $3 million invested. But if you look at real numbers, people are living on much, much less, and many of them are doing just fine. And don't get me wrong, this is in no way to discourage you from saving more. This is to encourage you to take retirement seriously and to encourage you to set realistic goals and then beat those goals. Lie number 2, Social Security will fail completely. We've all heard the ominous prediction that Social Security is going bankrupt, or don't count on a dime from Social Security by the time you retire. This myth claims that Social Security system is headed for an inevitable collapse, leaving future retirees with nothing. It's often repeated in media sound bites and by younger people who are skeptical that they will ever see the benefits. Here's the reality though. Social Security is facing financial challenges, but failing completely or going to zero is extremely unlikely. The truth requires you to understand how Social Security is funded. It's not a simple bank account that can go to zero. It's a dynamic system that is primarily fueled by ongoing tax revenue. If you're earning a paycheck, you've probably seen the FICA tax that is deducted. That 6.2% that is deducted from your paycheck is then matched by your employer for a total of 12.4%. And this 12.4% is the lifeblood of Social Security. In 2023, about 182.8 million people paid into the system of Social Security via payroll taxes. These taxes, plus some taxes on the benefits and the interest on the trust fund's reserves, cover the benefits that are paid out. In fact, roughly 90% of the money funding Social Security, retirement, and survivorship benefits come from current workers' payroll taxes. This pay-as-you-go structure means that as long as people are working and paying their taxes, Social Security has a revenue stream. The program would only fail if the US suddenly had no workers or Congress stopped the payroll tax, neither of which is realistic. Now, the Social Security system is facing challenges. According to one estimate, by 2033, the system would only be able to pay about 79% of the scheduled benefits. In other words, if absolutely no changes are made, benefits would have to be cut by roughly 21% and not 100%. So Social Security is likely here to stay. The benefits in 10, 20, or 30 years could look very different from what they are today, but I highly doubt that it's going away completely. There are a few likely fixes. One is to raise the cap on Social Security, then the other is to raise the full retirement age, and the third one is to raise taxes. Obviously, none of these will sit well with the overall population, so no administration is taking the initiative to fix the problem. So, include Social Security as one leg of your retirement stool, alongside personal savings and other income, but do so with a realistic expectation. Maybe be a bit conservative. But the myth that the system will just go away or go bankrupt and leave everyone high and dry, that claim is just not backed by any data. Line number 3, 401ks are terrible because taxes are going up. This one has been popping up more and more, often in seminars or slick social media videos. The claim is that putting money in a 401k or traditional IRA is a mistake because you will end up paying higher taxes in the future. Some even say that 401ks are a scam and they push people to alternative tax-free products instead. This lie is usually pushed by insurance salesmen. The reality though, at least for a majority of people, is that retirement will not put them in a higher tax bracket than during their working years. In fact, many will be in a lower tax bracket or at least in the same tax bracket with less taxable income. Let's break down why this myth is misleading. Most people's income drops in retirement. When you stop working, your salary disappears, so your income in retirement typically comes from Social Security, which is only partially taxable, then pensions, if you have one, and withdrawals from your savings. Unless you have saved so much money that your withdrawals are equal to your old salary, your taxable income is likely going to be lower when you retire. Who could be in a higher tax bracket? Only a minority of people might find themselves in a similar or a higher tax bracket in retirement. These tend to be very high savers or higher earners who continue to have large incomes even after they retire. For instance, if you have several $1 million in a tax-deferred account, your required minimum distributions or RMDs in your 70s could force you to a 6-figure withdrawal each year, which could keep your taxable income and your tax bracket high. And even if taxes do go up in the future, there's a very high chance that a majority of us will still be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. But really, it's impossible to say when and how the tax brackets will change or if they will change. And one big red flag is who often promotes this myth. In recent years, a lot of insurance salespeople and financial influencers have been harping on the supposed dangers of the 401k. Why? Because they want to sell you alternatives like a life insurance retirement plan, essentially a permanent life insurance policy used to stash money for retirement loans later on, which are pitched as tax-free income. And if you've scrolled through TikTok, you've probably seen them say stuff like, the government will rob you of your 401k later on. Be very cautious here. There are serious tax benefits of using a 401k. If you're a high income earner in your peak earning years, you can defer taxes when you are in a higher income bracket and then pay taxes in retirement when you're potentially in a lower tax bracket. That's why I like the idea of tax diversification, having some exposure to Roth accounts as well as some exposure to traditional accounts. And even if you truly believe that you will be in a high tax bracket in retirement, using tools like a Roth 401k is a great solution. You effectively lock in today's tax rates. There's no need to run to complicated insurance products or shun retirement accounts altogether. So, retirement planning should not be driven by myths or fears. Do you really need millions and millions of dollars to retire comfortably? Well, not if you look at actual data. Will Social Security be completely gone by the time you retire? Not if you look at it logically instead of emotionally. And am I avoiding 401k because of future taxes? No, actually I put a good amount in my solo 401k to defer taxes. Subscribe if you found this video useful and let me know your thoughts.